Hey guys, I am here today to bring you a very overdue review from me, by which I mean that I really wanted to read this book back when it came out a couple of months ago. Might be more than a couple of months ago now, but that is Traitor to the Throne by Alwyn Hamilton. This is the sequel to Rebel of the Sands, which I reviewed last year. And so obviously there will be spoilers for Rebel of the Sands, so if you haven't read that one, don't watch this review, go back and watch my other one. But if you have, this will be a spoiler-free review for this book, so you're okay there. I have a lot of conflicted thoughts about Traitor to the Throne, and there are some things that I think that it did very, very well, and some things that I think that were just strange and not done very well at all. And so the book picks up a couple of months after the end of Rebel of the Sands, and Amani is fully ensconced in the rebellion, and she's really a believer now, and she is kind of also a leader. And despite having just kind of popped into this rebellion, she is clearly in a space of power and leadership, and she offers a lot of direction, even though she definitely sometimes makes up some crazy plans and takes some risks. So it opens with her, trying to rescue a captured rebellion operative in a city. And it definitely starts off with a bang, with a very emotional episode, and something that drives home the reality of rebellion and what Amani is doing, which I really liked. And I thought that the book in general took time with what the rebellion is. At a certain point, right in the beginning, Amani gets captured and she ends up in the Sultan's palace. And the Sultan, if you remember, is been characterized as this evil dude they have to overthrow, and that's what she's fighting for. And that's generally what happens in these rebellion kinds of stories. There's, the young idealist upstart who starts a rebellion, and, there's idealism and everybody follows him. And then the older guy is evil and needs to be overthrown. And one of the most effective things I think this book did was try and tell you that it's not good versus evil. It's two people with, some good, some bad, and you have to decide which is better and which is worse for the country. But there are reasons that the Sultan is the leader, and there are reasons that he's an effective ruler. And I like that Amani was allowed to struggle with that and see while she's in the palace that, hey, there are some personality traits the Sultan has that she wishes were in the rebellion. I said this in my first review, and I'll say it again, and that is that these books have a global view. A lot of time in, YA books or just books about trying to overthrow the government, you get stories that are very centralized in one country, and this book takes a broad world view and how the Sultan interacts with these other countries versus how the rebellion interacts with other countries, and which ones they support or don't support, or how the bigger influences of the bigger countries impact the rebellion. And it's always conscious that even though this rebellion is happening in one country, there are a lot of moving pieces around them. And that I love a lot, and I always love seeing the different politics, especially when Amani is in the Sultan's palace and all the dignitaries are there, and the different ways that affects life at the palace. It was just really nice to see that broad worldview just broadened even more, and really keep a global perspective on what is really a massive undertaking to take a ruling regime of a country and knock it down and put another one on its place. That has huge impact on the global politics, and this series really understands that, which I like. There were, though, a couple of really random things that just made me scratch my head. One was a coincidental return of characters in certain roles, like character from the first book that go away and then they come back in roles that you're just like, what? Yes, I understand that it keeps the cast of characters small, but as a reader, it just makes you think really? This person ended up in this role? That's very convenient. And it happened more than once, And if it happens once, I'm like, okay, like maybe, maybe not. But if it happens multiple times, I'm just like, okay, these characters clearly needed to be here to advance the plot. It doesn't make sense why this is all happening like this. So that was really frustrating. There was thankfully no unnecessary love triangle, which I was worried about. But there is, in the beginning, a really what felt like made up conflict between Amani and Jin that keeps them apart for a large portion of this book, and it just made no sense. Like, it's never really properly explained. I felt like they never properly addressed it. It happens off screen in the time between Rebel of the Sands and Traitor to the Throne, so you don't even get to like see that emotional impact. It's just them dealing with the aftermath, which doesn't feel right, and it doesn't feel like the conflict is earned or the conflict even made sense to begin with, so that was weird. And also I saw the twist at the end coming. It's one of those twists where they're like, haha, surprise, and you're like, no, the signs have been there from the beginning. Like, how did you not catch this? But okay. So, that's more just me in general, though. It's very rare that I get surprised by a twist in a book, because I'm usually like, yes, this will go this way now. And I think if you've read a lot of YA, that tends to be your assumption, unfortunately. So, meh. Another thing that bothered me, and this is like a trend in YA as well, is that so Amani gets captured, right? But there is never any threat to her person. And it is kind of addressed why she needs to be kept around and why the Sultan is protecting her so much, but like, I really had an issue with this in like an Ember of the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. Like, people always like, oh ho ho, you've been threatened, the bad guys have you, you've been captured, muhaha, your life's in danger. But it's never in danger, and so there's never that added tension of like, no, actually, like, she's been captured by the bad guys. It's like, she's been captured, she's on a holiday from the rebellion, and it's just like, oh my god. Okay. Sure. I feel like I've said a lot of like really bad things about the book, but honestly, it was good. I read it in just a couple of sittings because I really wanted to know what happened. I really wanted to get to the end and see how the story was going to progress. Again, I love the global scale of it. Amani did not reclaim that sense of independence that I liked in the beginning of Rebel of the Sands, but I do like the character that she is becoming. She is becoming strong in another way, which is more typical of this kind of storyline, but it's not like she joined a rebellion and now she's a foot soldier and she just follows people blindly. I actually like that at this point, the tension between her and Jin, and how Jin really doesn't want to be a leader and Amani wants to learn how to be a leader, is really cool. It's not like, again, she joins a rebellion and the guy is already a part of the rebellion and she follows him into the sunset, and which tends to happen a lot. And so I like that a lot. The plot is so in terms of twists, but I like the culture, I like the mythology, and again, I like the overall story. Obviously, Alwyn Hamilton understands that the rebellion trope has been done, and she definitely tried to do something really interesting in this book, again, showing the other side and showing the rebellion too in shades of gray rather than black and white, which complicates the book a lot. So while I have issues with the book overall, I think that Alwyn Hamilton's understanding of the plot that she's working with and the grays areas and the different character interactions, I think that she does a really good job with that. And that is what's keeping me in the series, the global view, the lack of black and white. I will read this series to the end, no question, because of that, even if the writing sometimes is so-so to me. So, yeah. I feel like this went a lot longer than I meant it to, but I didn't realize until I started talking that I had like so many things to say. But if you liked Rebel of the Sands, you will definitely love Traitor to the Throne. And if you're wondering whether or not to pick up the series to begin with, why did you watch this review? Spoiler alert. And if you want to know whether or not to continue on from Revel of the Sands, maybe you were on the fence about it, I still would pick up Traitor to the Throne. I would. I was also kind of on the fence about Rebel of the Sands, but it has enough redeeming qualities and it's taking enough interest and just cares about the story that it's telling. So definitely I think it's a good series to read and to continue reading. And I can't wait for the next book. I'm done talking now. Thanks, guys. Bye!